Shoot, let me stop this. I'm going to stop it and start again. Oh, never mind. We'll just do it. Whatever. Good morning. Let's see if this is going to work. Let me ask Ashley if it's going to work for us. We're going to be talking about what is coming out of me. How do y'all feel about that? Does that sound like a fun topic? Hello, hello. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. So, are you guys interested in finding out how do I know what's coming out of me? Is that an interesting topic? I feel like when I was pregnant, I was always like, what is that? And why is that coming out of my vagina? Good morning, Jenny. Good morning, Diane. Where's all my girls at? Let me see who else is coming. Hello, good morning, Allison. So some of you guys may have seen that I left the class up because we had some technical, I didn't realize it was glitchy. So we're leaving it till 10 a.m. this morning, just to give you guys a little more time I'm so sorry because, tech issues and all that. Allison, how are you this morning? So Allison is one of our team doulas. She is one of the newest members to our team. We love her. She's also one of my students. That's one of the fun things about a lot of my team is that they've come from my student body because I just really get to know my students. I have not had enough coffee. I've got my puppy is insanely running around my feet this morning. Okay, so I am going to start talking. So let's talk about your bodily experience. Okay, so I was going to show you guys some pictures. So I'm going to try to do that. Oh, Jenny said she's waiting for her coffee. Jenny, are you being patient about your coffee? Hi, Lene. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Okay, so let me see if I can pull up some pictures. We're going to talk about your mucus plug. We're going to talk about all sorts of things. So let's see if I can find a picture. I don't know if I'll be able to upload it, but I'm going to try. Let's see if I can upload some pictures for you guys. And then we'll kind of talk, and then I'm going to let you guys I'm going to let you guys ask me questions and I will do my best to answer them. So we're only going to be on here for about 20 minutes this morning. And let's see. Okay, so I do have some slides. Yay, I thought that I did. So let's talk first about your mucus plug. How does that sound? So your mucus plug is a thick plug of mucus, right? And it plugs your cervical opening during pregnancy. It is composed of your cervical cells, bacteria, and it really is like a door to the baby to protect the baby from infection. It forms a physical barrier between your uterus and your vagina. We all know vaginas are not clean, y'all. So the mucus plug is like a seal that seals up the cervical opening. So a lot of mamas are like, how do I know that I'm losing my mucus plug? And how do I know when labor is going to start? So for my first time moms, I want to say to you that you losing your mucus plug is not like, oh my God, labor is going to start. Now it can, but typically you might lose it a few weeks before labor starts. And that is for sure a question we get all the time, and we get lots of pictures. So I'm going to be sharing some pictures that we've gotten of mucus plugs because they can come out looking, quite different from the other. Let me grab Tula. Come here, Tula. This little baby is literally attached to my hip. Not quite like a newborn, but pretty attached to me. Anyway, so your mucus plug for someone who has already had a baby, it can come out close time before before you actually go into labor. Like you could lose your mucus plug as you're going into labor if you've had a baby. For someone like me that's had a lot of babies, you may not even notice that you're losing your mucus plug. Now, for some of you, your mucus plug might come out like a plug, like one big chunk. For some of you, it may come out in little bits and pieces, but it's completely different for everyone. But there are some similarities. So number one, it looks like snot. And it looks like snot streaked with blood. And that blood can be bright red, that blood can be pink, and that blood can be brown. It can be really permeated with blood, or it can be just jelly and clear and no blood at all. So this is why I'm going to show you guys a couple pictures, because I feel like pictures are 100% the best way to learn. Yes, it is safe to go weeks without your mucus plug because the baby is still protected by the amniotic sac. So the inside is still protected. Now, if you guys have seen over on Labor Nurse Mama, I had a reel go pretty viral. Most of our reels go viral anyway, but this one is like mega viral. I think we're at 3 million views right now. And the reason is because I said something controversial. Imagine that. I'm sure my team is like, Trish said something controversial. Right. So what I said was, don't let them break your water. And it's exactly for whoever asked about the mucus plug and it being safe and will baby get infection. So there's a couple of reasons that I recommend. We're going off tangent. Is that okay with you guys? Hopefully. The reason I don't recommend that you let them break your water until you're in active labor, and then that's fine. But the reason that I say that is because when you break your water, you're opening up the inside of the uterus and the amniotic sac to infection. And the other thing about it is it truly doesn't speed up your labor unless a few very specific situations or circumstances are happening. In some cases, it is the number one thing that they can do to help get your labor moving better. But my recommendation, we recommend that you wait until you are in active labor. And that is after 6 centimeters. Some people 5 to 6. But the key to knowing active labor is that you are having moderate contractions. They're happening every 2 to 5 minutes and consistently, and you're having consistent cervical change. At that point, it's okay to let them break your water because it's not really going to affect you as far as infection, and you're in labor. But if they do it really early, you may not be in labor. And this is just going to be another freaking roadblock towards having a successful vaginal delivery. So just throwing that in there for you guys. If you want to go watch that reel and comment, for sure do, because we are getting all sorts of conversations. I think it's up to like 1,000 comments at this point. Okay, so you ready for pictures? Look at this. It's not pictures yet. I'm teasing you. So again, one of the earliest signs is your plug being discharged. It appears like a jelly-like blob, a streak of mucus in the toilet or on your pad. It can start several days or weeks before labor, and it just indicates your body is getting geared up. The engine's starting to rev a little, right? But it doesn't mean labor is imminent. That's what I want you to remember. Not imminent, because it can be weeks. Okay, here's the pictures. And what's really funny is I think Ashley's is in here. So Ashley will have to tell us which one is hers. And I'm hoping you guys are, hey, Lene or Allison or someone, will you guys make sure you pin this live to the top? This one is going to stay in the community so you guys can watch whenever. Okay, so this is what one looks like without any blood, just mucousy snot. And these our pictures, for those of you guys who are considering joining our birth classes, we opened for a special enrollment last night, $100 off. And you can also upgrade to add virtual services, which means you have access to me and my doulas and just a whole nother level you won't find anywhere else. And it's $39 a month, or you can do it for a year for $197, which is insanely low. But either way, whatever package you buy, you can take $100 off by using the code Birth Queen, because you are a birth queen. So one of the things that we have happen inside of our labor bat signal is that we get pictures and we love them. So these are straight from our students. They have given me permission to share with you. Okay, here's another one. This one is very permeated with a bleeding, with old blood. So there's been some cervical dilation happening. And this is just another example. And then here is another one that's got some pinkish, streakish brown blood in it. So you really just don't know what it's going to come out looking like. And it could come out like these, where it's a big glob, or it could come out where it's a tiny little bit at a time, where you get a little bit over a period of time. It really just depends on your body. And the truth is, your body can actually reseal itself. So it can recreate it. Because remember, I told you it's made of cells, cervical cells, bacteria. So it can, if it comes out early enough and dilation doesn't start happening, it can reseal itself, but that doesn't mean anything. It's not a hindrance to your birth experience. Okay, so now let's talk about what happens if your water breaks. Well, let me talk about one other thing. So another thing that gets very confusing at the end of pregnancy is this increase in vaginal discharge. During the third trimester it's just part of the process, and it can get very confusing at the end if it happens, because you're like, is this my water? Is this my plug? And so at the end of pregnancy, though, it's very common because those hormones are flooding your system, and your body's getting ready to give birth. So it's getting it all prepped down there. So you will notice like a thinnish, clear, and sometimes it might even have a little bit of blood. So it can get a little bit confusing, but it's really common, and you just need to expect it. So I really recommend that you grab yourself a big old box of panty liners at the end of pregnancy. Not only is it great for the vaginal discharge that is increased, but it's also great if you start leaking your amniotic fluid. So now let's talk about that. And I'm doing a series of reels on Instagram all about your water breaking. So yesterday I did the first one. And the first thing that we coach our girls, gotta have a sip of coffee, hold on. And the first thing that we coach our girls is, if they think their water broke, of course, if you have the virtual services, send us a DM. We'll walk you through it. But the first thing I want you to do is put on a pad, or put on some, period panties, or, Depends, and cough really hard, like really hard, aggressive coughing. Typically, if it is your water. Now, there's a couple things to note. You have two amniotic sac linings, the amnion and the chorion. The amnion, can't even talk. So sometimes what will happen is the forebag, is what we call it, will break, and you might have a little bit of leaking. So the coughing trip might not work always if you have what we call a high leak, or you have just a little bit of a leak. But typically, if your water broke and you do a giant forceful cough, it's going to put fluid out onto your pad. The other way to know is that if your water broke and you're lucky enough that you're actually contracting, because a lot of women whose water break at home, they're not actually in labor yet. But if you're one of the lucky few who's actually in labor, every contraction, you're going to have fluid coming out. So just keep that in mind as well. So do the cough, get on your exercise ball, do some figure eights with your hips, and just see, does more fluid come out? If more fluid comes out, you still have to kind of confirm. So the reel that I'm coming out today is going to show my 3 tips for that. One, you want to smell it. Take your pad off and smell it. Get comfortable with yourself. You're going to smell it. And if it smells like urine, probably is urine. Amniotic fluid has a very distinct smell that those of us who know it know it. But for you guys, it's just not going to smell like urine. So if it doesn't smell like urine, you see fluid on there, then 9 times out of 10, it's probably your amniotic fluid. Now, if I have a mama come into triage who thinks her water broke, but she's not put a pad on and she hasn't had any more leaking since that one time, then I'm pretty much in my head thinking her water didn't break. Because if your water breaks, it's not going to stop leaking. It's going to continually come out, either slow or fast. You might have a gush, you might have a slow leak, but it will come out more. So you've now smelled it, doesn't smell like urine. So your next test would be to check and see what the color is, because I want you to note a very specific acronym. It's COAT, C-O-A-T. Let me see if I can add it to, I don't know if I can. Let's see if I can. All right, C-O-A-T. Let's see if I can do this. I haven't done this before. Okay, look at that. There we go. Okay, so I'm adding that to it because, let me add it. So for coat, so if we have C, that would be the color. Okay, so I want you to note the color of your amniotic fluid. And if you look at my reels that are coming out today, you're going to see what I'm talking about. So the color of your amniotic fluid should be clear or clear with pinkish. It should not be brown or green or predominantly red. It may have some blood in it, but not predominantly red. So you note the color. If it's clear, if it's pinkish, then girl, you're good. Stay at home. As long as you and baby are healthy and you don't have any high risk reasons I don't know about, you can keep your booty at home. Labor at home. We want you at home. Even if you're GBS positive, labor at home. And if you join my classes, we're going to dive deeper into this and why this is really important. Okay, so the next thing is to note, let me see if I can do this, the odor, which we talked about. Oh, what am I doing here? So you're going to note, what does it smell like? Sorry, this is not working. Why is this not working? I was really proud of myself, but I'm not so much now. Odor. Let's see if this works. We'll find out. So now remember we said smell it. So you note the odor. That's what the O is for. The next one is going to be the amount. Okay. So how much do you have coming out? So sometimes it's going to be a slow trickle, sometimes it's going to be a rush, and sometimes it's a lot. But your provider is going to want to know, what was it, a little bit or a lot, medium amount. So you can let them know that as well. The other thing that you want to know, which is the T, is, can you guys guess? Anybody know what the T stands for? Time. So you want to know what time. So color, odor, amount, time. So keep the word coat. Okay. And the reason we want to know this is because they start getting a little antsy after about 24 hours. So if you're on here, do you understand why I don't want you to let them break your labor early, or your water early in labor? Why do you guys think that is? Look how dirty my cup is. When you think about time, why do I not want you to let them break your labor or your water? Can't talk. My cup is so gross, it threw me. It starts a clock on something. What does it start a clock on? Yeah, so it's not exactly 24 hours to birth, but 24 hours until infection becomes a real issue. So the reason that I educate you guys not to let them break your water in early labor is that 24 hours is nothing to a first-time mom. 100% nothing. So don't let them break your water early in labor. Now, if your water breaks at home, and we know your water is broken, it's a little bit different. Oh, Brittany, I'm so glad. Hello. Because If you're at home, what I recommend to my girls, we give them a little timeline. Of course, we help them in their labor bat signal to decide when to go, when is it appropriate, because sometimes if your water breaks ahead of labor, you might need what I call a little sniff of Pitocin, a little bit of a help, a little kick in the booty to get labor started. That can be reasonable if your water breaks on its own. But if your water is broken, out of convenience, I tell my girls inside my birth classes, nothing out of convenience or curiosity. Okay. So keep that in mind. We don't want them breaking your water just because they want to rush your labor, because it's been proven by studies that it only shortens your labor by about 30 minutes. So why in the heavens would we want to do that? Okay. Now, after active labor, 30 minutes sounds like heaven. So you could do it then. That's totally appropriate. The other thing that I want you guys to note about your water breaking is that you can still labor at home. You don't have to rush in. So I want you guys to really soak that in. You don't have to immediately go to the hospital if your labor breaks at home. You can still labor at home. Now, there are different rules, and I have them. I think I actually have them all organized on TikTok. If you guys aren't following me on TikTok, go ahead over there, because I'm able to do a little bit different types of videos over there than I can on Instagram. I'm allowed to say the word vagina and sex and all the things. I'm probably going to get booted off this live. Y'all watch. I just did it here. But it is a little bit more freeing. Oh, Brittany, I love that so much. Are you pregnant again, Brittany? Let me know. So if your water breaks, you don't have to rush in, but you do want to note the coat, okay? Color, odor, amount, time. If your water breaks and it stinks to high heaven, you might have infection. So you need to let your provider know, and you probably need to go in to get treated. If your water breaks and it's greenish or brownish or blackish, but not clear and, is murky, you want to call them, because it will most likely be that the baby passed meconium. You probably want to go in. If your water breaks and it is predominantly blood, get in the car, call them on the way. I want you seen. We don't mess around with that, because you could be having all sorts of issues, or it could just be really fast dilation. But either way, I want you headed in to have that checked out. We don't mess around with that. And y'all know, everybody says I'm crunchy with the side of medical, but when it comes to taking chances with potential harm to you or the baby, we do not mess around. So predominantly blood, what do? Do you call the doctor at home, or do you call the doctor on the way? Who's out there participating? T is time. Can you guys not see it? Kelly Valentine, your name is popping up so much, girl. I really hope that you joined the birth classes. Every fearless birth experience, a couple of people, like people that come to all of them, I get to know them, and then I'm so bummed when they leave and don't hang with us. Yep, it's time. And someone's having contractions right now. We're with you and hope you the best. Keep us posted. Okay, so anybody have any questions about what we've talked about already? Any questions for me? Nobody answered my question on, if it comes out and it's predominantly bloody, do you call your doctor at home or in the car? You're welcome. I wish you luck with that baby. In the car or at home? In the car. That's right, Erica Jean. Love it. Right, because we don't mess around with that. That could be it could be a serious sign. It could not be. So don't get yourself all freaked out. And if you're one of my students, send a signal in your labor bat signal, and we will help you with your mindset. Yes, Brittany, are you back in the new? So, Brittany, since you're 18 weeks pregnant again, you've already bought the classes. You are able to upgrade to the virtual support services once you hit about 35 weeks. I don't know if you know about them or if we had them when you had your last baby, but it's really insane virtual support with me and my doulas. So, as far as, and we just reopened our student Facebook group for our community because we've been having problems with our app. So, we're over that and we're bringing it back to Facebook. Just make it simple. Our virtual services are still housed in our Circle app if you're one of my members currently or one of my students, but we're going to be moving like the conversations and being able to go live and all of that inside of Facebook just because we're tired of having problems with the app. Okay, so you guys, anybody have specific questions about your water breaking or what is coming out of me or the mucus plug or anything else? And I'm going to do a little bit of a Q&A. For my mama who's in labor right now, you want to make sure you're keeping up and moving. Movement is so important. Gravity is so important. Remember, you've got this. It's about what you tell yourself. Thank you, Lene. If you're a new student, we have our pregnancy hangout at 11 a.m. Make sure you come. All right. If you're so someone asked me about water breaking in the car. It's really helpful to go ahead and buy some puppy pads and keep one in your car. That way, if your water breaks and you're going in the car to the hospital or you're coming home from work or you're headed home from Target, binge buying some baby stuff, you've got a pad in the car. If you're at home, you can put on some pads, put on some Depends, and you shouldn't have to worry about your car too much. Maybe bring a towel with you. But for most mamas, it's not like a flood. Now, if you have a lot of fluid, like I did with Gavin, it could be a flood. I'll never forget, you guys. I was sitting in the rocking chair in my labor room, rocking, which rocking is insanely comforting when you're in labor. And I'm in the rocking chair, rocking, and I heard pop, right? And I was like, what the heck was that? And then I just felt it flood. And I looked down and there was like a 2-foot puddle around the bottom of the rocking chair. And I was like, well, so I called the nurse and I said over, the little intercom, I was like, hey, my water broke. And I heard her tell someone else, she thinks her water broke. I said, no, she doesn't think her water broke. She knows her water broke. Her water broke. And they came in and they were like, well, I guess your water did break because it was so much water. But that little stinker was baby number 4. And he kept going breech and transverse and all the things. And we found out when my water broke that it was because I had so much water. And he was my biggest baby. So I don't even know how he did it. Brittany said hers was a big gush at first and the fluid never stopped. I heard and felt a pop and thud too. Yeah, it wasn't like I heard, I can't even explain it because it wasn't like I heard a pop, but like I think I heard it at the same time, if that makes sense at all. It was like a thud. That is exactly the best way to say it. I never heard a pop. I heard a thud. It was a very weird sign. So if your water broke in the car, it's totally fine. Just call your doctor and let them know. All right, you guys, I am going to head off here again. As if you guys know, the birth classes are open for enrollment, $100 off. Use the code BirthQueen and make sure if you're past 35 weeks or before 35 weeks, you want to upgrade to the virtual services. It's $39 a month or $197 for the year. It's an insane value. My doulas and I, we all got on a Zoom yesterday and we were talking. You cannot get virtual labor support services for $39 a month. And for sure not for $197 for a year, which is less than $19 a month. Okay, you guys, I hope you have an amazing day. I can't wait to see you guys. We're having our class at 6 p.m. tonight. Lene is going to be on with me, which I'm so excited. And we're going to be talking about something that not many people prepare for, and that's the first couple days in the hospital and heading home. And we're going to talk about you, and we're going to talk about babies. So it's a really valuable workshop. So make sure you come tonight. All right, you guys, have a great day. Bye, Lene. I'll send you some information, Lene. Good luck to the mom who's in labor and everyone else. Can't wait to see you guys tonight and get to know you in the classes.